Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Toku Portal podcast for the inaugural episode of Kamen Rider Zero-One. I am Vashi V, and joining me today is.
Did it again?
A jump to the sky turns to a podcast kick. Attention.
Rye,
And zero.
gentlemen, welcome to the Reiwa era of Kamen Rider.
Rejoice!
And what a
Wow.
fucking start to it.
Oh. So, right away, establishing the kind of world that we've got here. We've got AI robots. We've got iRobot up in this, world.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Uh,
Um,
they are...
also, before we go on more into the episode, just initial thoughts, because first episode, first writer
Okay.
in the new era.
Initial thoughts is that this episode shows so much promise for not just the story but the world that these characters are living in, and it gives me a lot of hope for what this series could become later on.
I am immediately interested in everything that's going on, and the action is great. People were like, oh, the CGI is bad, but I would argue the CGI looks slightly better. Improvement.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. Kind of how I felt about seeing the Shinobi world for the first time, so it seems pretty interesting.
Going into this, I held a lot of trepidation for it. Not so much because of the changing of eras, but just with the way the show, the way Zio closed out, and then going in, we have an entirely new suit actor because Mr. Kamen Rider has retired. But after watching this, I'm impressed. The CG looks funky, but it's Kamen Rider. It's always looked funky. And this shows a good process of how far this show has come, especially if you go back and watch early Heisei. I mean, literally, there's a point where they use clip art as Photoshop. It looks terrible, but this has gotten a lot better. The graphics, the CG in it, even just for the effects that they use, work beautifully with this, and it gives me a lot of hope for the show. The story itself looks amazing to start with, and it shows a lot of promise for the Reiwa era of Rider. Whether or not that hope will stand true, we'll have to see how this story plays out. But for now, it gives me a lot of hope for it. And also, this suit looks fucking amazing in movement.
Yeah, gotta agree. Honestly, starting off, I wasn't too keen on this episode. When it started, I'm like, oh, we're doing more comedy right off the bat. I was hoping we wouldn't be. Then it ties in, because the show has it's a really weird mix of like Faiz with X-Aid with hints of Kabuto and Amazons, and the main writers kind of got this thing of oh, I'm gonna try to make people smile, so I'm like, oh, that's a throwback to Kuga and stuff. That was nice. But the comedy was real off, and then they're just playing the character of yeah, nobody finds this character funny, so I'm like, you bastard. The one thing I don't like about this writer is this comedy, and you made the main character where it's oh, I'm gonna put the awful comedy in, but the character is he sucks with comedy. You fucking evil genius. You figured out a way to write in your biggest weakness as oh no, that's just how the character is. So I'm like, yeah, that's and then the other thing I was thinking, I'm like, yeah, this is a new era, all right, a new era for Toei's CGI department with how much shit was going on. But honestly, yeah, it wasn't the greatest CGI, but I'm like, fuck it, as long as they're using it well. And first of all, it's the first couple episodes right now. The budget like this always happens in a new writer shows. Like they always just throw money at the screen. Starting off, hopefully, like they use it well enough, and they've got like a decent production pipeline going that they can continue to use their. He's basically Kamen Rider Flash at this point, with the effects going on. I mean, it looks freaking great, but there's a lot of interesting stuff, especially with that writer kick and stuff, with the writing and all that.
Oh
Like
yeah.
that's different.
Uh,
Hey kids,
So basically,
this show to. Sorry.
yeah, sorry. Just one last point. Basically, as the episode went down, like the character won me over, and then like the action's really solid. Like they used a lot more CGI, which I'm like that'll probably get toned down in the show, but I'm like, for what they're using it, it makes perfect sense why it's here. So it was actually pretty well incorporated. Go ahead, Henshin.
Henshin, do you have something to say?
I was just gonna make a joke like, "Hey kids, if you want the show to look this good all the time, you better buy all our progress keys."
I mean, that would be true, except like it doesn't work like that because like um okay. So the problem is like yeah, it's like hey, do you want this character to show up? Yeah, better buy their shit, and make it popular. But this like they don't get money for CGI, right? That's the weird thing. So it'll be like, oh, this character's popular. We can keep them around, you know? That can happen, but they're not gonna get like, oh, well, our CGI budget's pretty much gone. Here's another couple grand to keep going. Like that doesn't happen,
Yeah, I was
or at
just
least
making a
I've
joke.
never seen that happen. No, I know. Um, but fuck, we had to buy Valkyrie's toys because otherwise she's gonna end up dead,
Oh shit!
right?
I am buying those toys, like
Fuck,
Kotetsu
okay, hold
toys
on.
that aim shot risers out of stock. I am only waiting until I sell off a few old drivers so I have space.
I'll buy them.
Damn it, Amazon, where are the Valkyrie toys?
Don't buy from Amazon. Apparently they scalp the heck out of those.
Oh
Uh,
god, they do.
Amazon is pretty shady for multiple reasons, but not getting into that.
Nope.
So the the Huma gear, as they are called. What's interesting about them that sets them apart from other like AI robots in fiction is that their primary feature is their object recognition, which they all mainly implement for interacting with humans. To the point where, like, as we see in this episode, you have one whose job is to make people laugh as a comedian, and so, like, it's programmed to recognize when people are smiling and laughing and enjoying themselves. That's cool.
Yeah, this opening scene is definitely where the Fi's influence comes in, because right off the bat, I'm thinking of the Smart Brain commercial and how, oh, everything's so wonderful. This company isn't shady at all. But yeah, that's interesting.
I noticed the literal angelic music playing under presumably this company's advertising video, and I'm like, that is slightly unnerving. And I'm sure it's meant to be intentional. But I feel like in media, like, you'll have, like, a fake company's commercial where they're like, all of our products are wonderful, and there's almost always something shady going on with the company.
Like
Yeah.
I fully accept that. Like, and that delves into like the world of video games with like the Umbrella Corporation, and even with the promotions that they did for some of the games in the movies where they had the fake ass commercials. But yeah, my initial thoughts when I saw the whole human gear aspect of it, my brain immediately went, shit, Fies.
Yeah, you remember those Smart Brain
Right.
commercials about nothing?
Yeah, exactly.
Which
So that's what I was thinking. I
doesn't
was
help.
thinking
like it doesn't
Yeah.
help with something that gets alluded to later on.
Right. So that's what I was saying is like, one, this is a pretty like classic like sci-fi dystopia-ish setting. So yeah, one, iRobot, but two, more closely to Kamen Rider. Um, Definitely a lot of fights going on in this, like especially with
Uh,
like the shots and stuff and like the setup. Like this is clearly just like their version of Smart Brain, and then like the AI assistant character is kind of like a fusion between like Smart Lady and Poppy,
you've got a
because
little like
X is
drive
really
going
the
on.
yeah. Well, I was thinking about that too, but I'm like, the only thing of drive is their robots, but I'm like, that's it. And
Robots
so like,
mimicking humans.
yeah, yeah, I know, but I'm like, right, but then you have like the guy who's clearly just like another version of Perdo
Oh
running
yeah.
around. So I'm like, they might as well just be Bugsters at that point, or like any writer villain.
Oh yeah.
So
The first monster of the episode like puts on a buggle visor and buggles up.
yeah, pretty much right. Which was interesting. No spider, no bat, just mantis. I'm like, that's different. Like the only one that I can remember that did that was like O's, because his first one is mantis kaijin, right?
Uh,
Yes,
yeah.
this
Um,
was a mantis.
what was Kiva's first though?
It was like a horse because
Yeah, I
he
was
was
gonna
the
say,
knight,
wasn't Kiva's the horse?
right? But well, Kiva is the fucking bat, right?
Okay, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, and the spider
Comes
and
later.
sheep fungi. Yeah, like they hang out for multiple episodes. They come later.
I mean, in fairness, in Kiva, the spider was the first Fangire to attack.
Right,
Oh,
it's the in 1986, right? You see it
Yeah,
in
because it
the
attacks at a
writing.
church.
Yeah.
okay. Sorry. Uh,
This makes me curious, like, how much of the Heisei Rider bingos I've seen will have to be changed for the Reiwa era. Because bats and spiders are on.
hmm, we'll have to see. Uh, so our main character, Aruto, uh, is a wreck. He he set five
Yeah,
alarms for himself and still overslept. He's a
it's
comedian.
like yeah.
He,
So one, Arto, and two, he's a complete. This is literally if Shinpei became a mage. That's what I thought when I first saw this kid. I'm like, oh no, let's not go down this route.
What did you think of him?
Sorry, Hinton, could you repeat that?
I didn't catch what he just said about Naruto.
Oh, I said, so his name's Arto, right? So I'm
Mhm.
like, oh no, and he's trying to protect beams and stuff, except he's like a comedic mess. So I'm like, oh no, it's like if Shunpei became a mage from Wizard. I mean, that's not his character as the episode goes on, but initially I'm like, oh no, let's not go down this route.
For
Starting
me,
off the
for literally the first scene for a writer show with the introduction of the character, this has been the most relatable character to me I have ever met. Because I, just in the past, just last week, I was late to work 2 days because I set 5 alarms and missed them all.
oh
He-
wow.
I am not
Wow.
joking. As soon as it happened, I'm like, I swear to God.
All right.
I have a friend who like used to be that way. One winter he asked me to help him like shovel his grandma's roof, and he was late picking me up because he slept through like 5 alarms. So when
Oh.
we finally got there like at noon, and she was like, "I thought you said you're coming here by noon." It's like, well, noon.
Nice. Oh fuck. Oh, it's pretty great. That's the thing. Like as the episode goes along, like he becomes more relatable and like more kind of old school. Like he gets more writer moments because at first he seems like this goofball kind of dude, but I mean he's a little more serious than that. But as the episode goes on, you see like he actually has like a really decent character for a human being. So I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty good. Like you don't have to make him like completely good guy ish. You know that sometimes we get because you try to do like Kuga all over again, and that kind of comes off as boring. Whereas this guy doesn't. He kind of seems like a little bit of a goofball, but like deep down, whenever something happens, you see that he's like competent, or at least he's like serious, right?
He's
So again,
yeah, he's
very
passionate.
Yeah, Arsto seems like a good kid. But even if he's terrible at comedy, he at least wants to make people laugh. And from some bits in the I think he seems to be cool under pressure. So I'm like, he might actually do well at running a company. We'll see.
So one of the things that surprised me was I thought he was going to like already have been be the president of the company when this show started, and like he possibly helped develop the like the rider gear like build style, and instead he is actually like not qualified to be president of anything, but he just kind of inherits the title because his grandpa is a clever troll.
Yes, or his grandpa has ulterior motives. I'm suspecting that.
I'm expecting
I mean,
that, and the fact that he knew the vice president was a shit dick.
yeah. See, that's one of those annoying things. I'm like, okay, one, good enough that your grandpa saw that like the vice president might be an asshole, but two is like, how do these dipshits keep coming into power? For one, but then they kind of clarify where it's like, what the fuck do you think this is? Like your grandfather can't just hand you over a company. This is not a family business, right? Like there's a board of directors and they're all like pissed. I'm like, oh, I see. Like he just maneuvered his way up here. Um, which I'm fine with because that's again very FISA-ish. Like hopefully, here's what I hope this guy is. Like I don't want him to just be like generic, like oh I'm the obstacle in the road. Like if like as much of a pain as the ass as Hojo was, like he still did the right thing. At the end of the day, like I'm fine with if you go to that level. Like that's a little bit extreme, but like if you want to be a like obstacle, but still be like, hey, we need to do something to help people when the time comes. Like I'll be fine. If you're just an obstacle to be an obstacle, like the like hire a police guy in Drive, like that's super annoying. Don't do it.
Although
Oh, the one who was working with the 001? The one who kept harassing them?
Yeah, like the one who got like worse and worse comedy over time, but like he was he was in charge of the more serious like investigation section.
although I
The one
will
who
say
kept
this
trying
guy was prepared with a mural of himself to hang on the wall in place of the late president.
Literally, when they walked in the building. From the funeral.
Like, all right, let's see how it looks. And he just
He's in the
slides
ground.
down
Let's
from the
hang it
ceiling.
I mean, to be fair, this is the type of douchebag who only probably went to the funeral because this is a formality he has to do.
Yeah, because
So, like,
otherwise he'd have
again-
been moving into the office already.
Yeah, pretty much, right? It does kind of make sense. You got to remember it's the guy who wrote X8, so like,
And it
it's like a little
shows.
bit of Dan. Yeah, right. Like it's basically written by the guy who wrote X8.
You've got
pretty
your
much what's
Emu,
happening
you've
right
got
now.
your Peridot.
You got your poppies, right? You got your hero, or actually, that's more of like
That guy
He's
is
like
we'll
very
we'll
much.
get to him.
That guy is giving me like gaze vibes in the sense that like I don't care what you think, this is what I'm doing, but like scaled up to 15 out of 10.
Like to
See,
me, he,
I
to me
feel like
he's
his backstory is very Kabuto because like I feel like that's the thing. It's like Fi's written, it's Fi's mixed with X8, but then it's got like hints of Kabuto and like Amazons going on. Mostly in just how serious like the like cops and those guys are. So like yeah, it's basically like Kabuto, and that guy he acts pretty similar to a character in like season 2 of Amazons. Um, but mostly it's like right now it's like Fies and X8. But if it feels like there's like something blew up, like a section of the city, so it's got like Kabuto stuff going on. Anyway, go ahead, Henshin. I'm cutting you.
Right? I was saying that Fua is giving me Taiga vibes, but like mixed with Gates and really amped up. Be the Poppy? I don't know. I really hope that the writer isn't just writing to the character tropes that he knows from X-Aid.
like
I mean, like she's either gonna okay. I don't think she's gonna be a writer at this point because we've kind of seen the writers. But then again, fucking Zio, right? Like second last episode, so who knows? Um, but that being said, she can either be like okay, she's either gonna be a helping character like Poppy, or she's kind of gonna be like either like basically in the middle, sort of like smart lady or like an antagonist. But I'm thinking she's either gonna be in the middle or helping. So she's either gonna be
Okay.
Poppy or smart lady when she's trying to help.
like I'll give the writer a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that he's not just writing to the tropes, because while yes, it's very very X80 feeling, it's still the character still feels unique enough that it doesn't feel like, oh well, you're just mimicking what you already wrote.
For example,
Hey, look, until Cake shows up, um, I don't know,
Or a
but
rapey CEO.
uh,
There's no other excuse for Lovrika other than
okay,
that's what he
okay.
wants.
How
okay,
about
Love Rika is a reference to freaking like visual novels and shit, but
dating
Which
sense?
I understand that, but he came across as a rapey fucking CEO.
Here, how about this?
yeah,
How about this?
honestly, yeah, I like so much shit happened at the end of X8, like I totally zoned out about that asshole. Because I'm like,
Let's
yeah, he's a weirdo creep, but I'm like compared to Kronos, who's a fucking psycho, like I totally even forgot about it. And then we had like Evolve, right? And then we had like Schwartz. So I'm like, yeah, Love Rika is a creep, but like on the level of insanity that like followed him, like he's not.
let's put Cake Boss in charge of the company.
Oh,
I'm all
okay,
for
like
that.
okay, Cake Boss is cool. Here's the thing, like he's when it comes to his company, he's pretty fucking serious though. So right, he's like fun when we see him, but like he's a fucking smart ass business dude. Um, so yeah, I'm fine with Cake Boss. Dude, like I would be fine with Murakami just to see what the fuck he would do in the new era, right? Like compared to the crazy, like Murakami versus Masamune would have been fucking amazing.
Oh, dude. If
That would
Masamune,
have been
Murakami.
so cool.
like take out like the superpowers too. Just have them be businessmen.
Yeah.
Which one's Murakami? Is he Cake Boss?
No, Murakami is
No,
the guy from
from
Fies
Fies.
who was the acting president of Smart Brain for the whole show.
Okay. Like
Cake Boss is
Murakami,
like,
Takatora, and Dan Masamune
oh, Takatura would be
business
interesting
each
too.
other.
Okay, you know what? Like, let's go four-way and just put Cake Boss in because like they're really serious when it comes to their businesses, but holy shit, they have like four very different styles. That'd be really cool to see.
I will say that out of those four, Cake Boss came the closest to ending the world.
Um.
O's wonderful.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I. That's like okay. That's like saying, yes, you came close to ending the world because your trigger wasn't a nuke. But I'm like, substitute other three people. Like, would they use it? Right? Like, okay, Cake Boss probably not, but like if he had to, he would. Uh, Pakatura, no. Murakami, fuck yes. If he got what he wanted, he would do it. And like Masamune, definitely,
Yeah,
right?
Masamune would have done it for shits and giggles.
Well, not shits and giggles. Like the whole reason he was turning people into fucking data shit was so he can
He
exploit
wanted to
them.
be the master of life and death.
And how else?
Well, more
do
like
you
he wanted to own life and death, but
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, okay. Own it. That's even better.
It's not. Yeah, it's not like a death comp. It's not like a guard comp.
No, I'm saying you're right. Like,
I
yeah,
get to be the ultimate.
he wants to own all lives. Yeah, I'm saying you're right.
Yeah, like Dan's got a god complex. Here's the thing, right? Like Dan is fun, but like I say, Dan gets his ass kicked against those four in serious business. Like hands down. Um, but damn, like Masamune would have been freaking great.
On an entirely side note, since we're on CEOs, while I understand that he got, I guess, for lack of a better term, he got his send off in Zio, they missed a good opportunity to put Mr. Kamen Rider as the original President Hiden. Somebody who's literally on screen just enough to go, hey, here's a thing that exists.
Bye.
And now, he's,
The
and
problem
now, and
with-
now he's dead.
The problem with that is like I feel like we might get more scenes with the president. And, like Mr. Kamen Rider is good, like he's not an actor, dude. Right? He got to be like Omazio, so you know that's something.
And we literally only know that because
Credits, yeah.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
we had no idea who that was without it. Where this, it would have been him on screen outside of the suit, and I'm not counting the Ryuki special in Zio.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was in the freaking Decade special also. Well, like the web series and stuff.
Right. It's like, but I'm meaning let's have main show a proper visual send off to him. To me, I felt that would have it made a little bit more touching to me.
Yeah,
But
I get the sense.
I do understand the issue of with the way this story plays out. There's a lot of shit that happened in the past that needs to be covered.
Well,
So-
there's that, but what I was going more for is like it's the politics of the thing. Is like you're starting a new era, you can't like just throw in one of the lead figures of the previous era who's retiring. Like his time is done, right? Like you can't start like unless you're literally having a funeral for Mr. Kamen Rider. Like he has no reason to be in red. Sorry, Decade.
Oh, I was just gonna say he was the general near the end of Ghost, so he got some screen time.
Huh. I didn't even know that. And the sad thing is I watched Ghost.
I mean, to be fair, you don't typically see his face.
That is true.
So, with the villains, yeah, let's get into the villains. So, they are metsubojinrai.net. I am just gonna call them .net.
If you give me 1 second, I can give you their names.
It's Hirobi and Jin. I already have it up.
Oh, yes.
Horobi, sorry. So we don't get too much on them right now, but we do see Jin. He's the one that we've been calling the new Peridot. And I like the difference though is astounding because Peridot was always like trying to play games and he got bored when he wasn't playing one. Jin sees like the first fight between human and machine break out, and he starts getting giddy like a child to the point where I'm not sure he even cared who won the fight.
Right. I felt like this is a very like almost like Sentai kind of character. Like one of the villains, because usually you don't get this in Rider, but then you get to him like one of the like grunts basically attacks him, and then he just goes into reflex mode and takes him out like nothing. Go.
Yeah, to me he kind of seemed like a combination of Parado and early from CEO. So yeah, pretty twisted. But just in general, so their base is this submerged city.
Daybreak
And-
City.
Yeah, and looking back, you can actually see that there's some city around the quarantine zone, I guess. So that's kind of interesting. And I didn't really realize how big that area was until the end scene. And they show straight up skyscrapers underwater. So I'm interested in hearing the backstory. But in terms of character, they don't seem super interesting. They want to
What?
humanity. Whoop-de-doo.
Sorry, Jin, while watching the fight, was attacked by a grunt. Not looking away from the fight, took the grunt, flipped him over to the other side of him, pulled out a gun, and shot him point blank in the head. Still watching the fight the entire
agree
time.
I agree that was badass, but it's not really interesting. But
Like when
at
he's,
least they have pretty
I
cool
want to see how he
outfits and
fights when he
background
starts
music.
getting involved. Like that was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure they will get more interesting. I was just saying as far as this episode goes. But yeah, they have sweet outfits, and their background music is pretty damn good and creepy.
I love all the music so far. I can't wait to hear more. And Jin is honestly kind of terrifying. Hirobi we need to see more of, and I definitely want to know more about the submerged city. I didn't even realize those were submerged skyscrapers. I also especially want to know more about that piece of satellite stuck underwater.
Probably the original AI satellite. I'll get more into why I think that later.
Yeah, I have my suspicions about the current satellite, especially now that Arto is basically mind-linked with it, so we'll get to that.
Like, I want to know more about Hirobi and Jin. More so the motivations beyond, hey, let's fuck some shit up. Because fuck humanity.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It
Um,
because that leads me into speculation, which I will get into once we get a little bit further in, because I have thoughts on that.
yeah.
Having Jin be very Parado-like is, again, I think why Zero said he was worried about writing to the tropes that he knows for his characters, because it's very accurate to Parado if Parado was in this type of setting.
Yeah, see, this is one of the things, like, he feels very Parado-ish, but I don't feel like his story is going to go the same way. Whereas,
Oh,
like,
wow.
I
I
hope it
don't.
doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like this guy could be, like, Graphite or something, or, like, Phoenix or whatever, there's, like, multiple of those types of dudes. Like, I don't feel like this guy could be Parado, where it's like, oh, yes, let's team up and fuse, because I'm like, right, like, okay, Arto could be, like, AI or something. Like, there could be something like Philip or insert whichever writer is secretly a monster here. Or something going on.
I think
Right?
that's like half of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, insert whichever one you want or fits closest. Especially because it's the new era, like, we might get some new people. That's why I'm trying not to spoil some of it. Because some shows it's a spoiler, some shows it's not. So I'm trying not to say which
Are,
one.
are we counting the monsters as the people who would do really atrocious acts? Because then we'd have to include
No.
Oja.
Include who?
Oja.
Oja?
Oh,
Yeah. No, because okay, yeah, but Tiger is in that show too.
what if Asakura is a phantom?
Oh, he became a phantom when like what? The whole like his family burned?
Uh,
Oh yeah?
Who's also a rider. That's creepy.
like,
Oh my god. That would be interesting. So he's Sora, you're saying.
or
I
that.
mean,
He could be
Gremlin?
He could be both. He could be that. He's just
Yeah,
already an inhuman monster.
Yeah, exactly, right? Holy shit, like, Tsukiyomi, you better watch out for that asshole. But I didn't realize that the damn thing was, the city was underwater, honestly. I was like, oh, okay, now that you guys have said it, I'm like, huh, interesting. I didn't think we were doing freaking Atlantis.
That's okay.
But I
It
guess
took
we
me
are.
my third viewing to realize that.
I didn't realize it until I saw the satellite light up. Then it's like, oh, okay, and then figured that one out. Like why it's there makes sense.
So, there's a lot of hints in this episode to suggest that something like this happened before in Daybreak City, where the AI revolted against humanity. Either Hirobi or Jin comments on history repeating itself. The former president knew something like this would happen. Like, he's aware that they exist and he's prepared for it, which I think plays into why he wanted his grandson to be Zero-One. He wanted him to be the president. There's also his flashback to his robot father getting blown up. Like, that may be the incident. That might be Emu's, like, 0 day.
And of course,
That's what I was thinking.
and there's more questions for you.
Yeah, robot dad, right? Right. Here's the thing, though. I think it's actually history of training and stuff. I feel like that was said by whoever the hell is like the super trigger happy like captain dude. Who's gonna be like the secondary writer? Because I feel like he's probably from that city or somebody he knows got killed there or something. That's why he's out.
That would explain his like trigger happy havoc.
I'm putting money down that it was his girlfriend that died.
Oh god, yeah. Just throw in the brave. Oh, he's already got his color scheme. Why not?
He's Snipe with Brave's backstory.
Ah, fuck, that's awful. God damn it, Rewa, no. We don't need more girlfriends in refrigerators. Fucking hell.
That'll
I hope
bring
not.
back
but
her
God.
hologram.
Hey,
She'll be like, "You're gonna be the greatest doctor." Wait, why am I saying that?
Oh, fucking don't.
At this point for me, as long as we don't have a depressed writer who eats a fucking puzzle piece, I'm good.
Hey, fuck
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Okay, Takimana is great.
After the first season.
Alright?
Or
That
arc, rather.
episode made perfect sense. How did
Speaking of the robots, though, one thing I forgot to bring up was the distinct characteristic they all share to distinguish them from humans. They have mechanical ears.
They're
And
nice looking ears.
and somewhere on them they have a marking.
And
Yeah.
what I
Because
liked
that
is...
was-
do that?
Yeah, that was pointed out during the "let's build them to look human" scene.
Okay. Oh, yeah, like the square.
They mention that they have object recognition, but they don't mention the mark specifically. You just see it on them.
It could be like an ID code for like a model or unit.
QR code.
You know, they're only pointing this out because it's gonna be like, oh, this character we've been following is secretly a robot.
Naruto rips off his jacket.
Oh,
And
God damn it!
now you have one of my theories.
My
Like,
theory
See-
of. Sorry, keep going.
I was gonna say, I also like that in Naruto's flashback, his robot dad, like the ears are just headphones. So like you
Yes.
get to see
Right,
how like
that
they've
was cool.
evolved over time.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting because he gives this whole speech of like, what do you mean? What do you even care about dreams? Like, what do you even know? Right? Like, to like basically the monster this time. Like, all right, that implies two things with his robot dad. One, that his robot dad was more human than this, or two, his robot dad was less human than this. So it's gonna be interesting seeing which way that goes.
Also, before like Robo Dad dies, he tells Naruto like leap into your dreams, and leaping is kind of like the signature thing about his rider form. So there's a lot of like foundation here for his grandfather planned this.
Maybe, I mean, like, I doubt. Okay, so like blowing up the thing or the belt.
The belt. His grandfather
Okay, yeah,
planned to
because
give
I'm
him the
like,
belt.
yeah, I feel like there's some like maybe either he's not human or again like there's a Philip thing going on where he's like some weird hybrid thing.
Yeah, he could be like a Rider One cyborg.
That's my guess.
My personal
Oh,
question is who
so
sent the signal to Izu in the 3D printer to like start that all up?
So she,
oh yeah.
He
so
said it's from
Izu,
the satellite, but
yeah.
is the satellite sentient?
Well, no, like so commands are probably sent to them through the satellite, like remotely. Like, hey, I need this AI to go do this thing, rather than tell them in person. Like, just type it into your iPad.
Yeah.
Uh, and she was sent to go and fetch Aruto because, hey, we need family member to be here for the reading of the will, so there's no legal complications. They were not expecting the will to say, hey, he's the new president.
Yeah.
I think it was
Right,
probably
but
the
that doesn't
grandpa.
explain what
He
the
just had it set up
I
to
guess is that too.
activate that sequence when he died.
Probably.
The
'Cause, like-
belt was literally built in front of our faces.
Right,
Yeah.
and like the bell is only authorized to be used by the president, and like when Ardo said I won't be president, she didn't give up on him. She actually seemed confused as far as a robot can be, and followed him with the belt. Like, your belt, sir.
I like the mechanized blinky sounds when she was confused. Those were cute.
Yeah, see, we're putting so much emphasis on this. Oh, only the president can have the belt. Like okay, thank God they didn't say like oh you have to be an employee or some shit because I'm just imagining fucking RoboCop playing out with the you're fired shit and then getting like gunned down happening, but like unlikely at this point. But that's an interesting parallel.
So, we haven't talked about it yet. Let's talk about the actual monster of the week. It's the random like Humagear that was making people laugh earlier. Now reprogrammed to like destroy humanity. And the like he achieves a monster form, as I said earlier, by mimicking a Rider Henshin, but like an evil version. Do you guys think that like that's the running theme where like they're just gonna keep doing that and like attain different monster forms?
Yeah, see, originally I was like, it's interesting that they're not just linking and like corrupting me because thank God they're not doing that because that would raise like a million questions. Like, why aren't you just turning them all into an army of evil robots? Right? Like literally, I Robot the movie, not the book. So that's good that they need the belt and stuff. It's also good that like the robot's like, no, I don't want to be evil. I'm programmed to help people. Like fuck this shit, pretty much, as far as a robot can. Then he just gets overridden. Um, that's really interesting, honestly. But it's kind of nice that they're limiting them to, oh, you need the belt to be corrupted, which also gives like, oh, why do we need like the heads, right? Like because we need them to make the monsters. That's pretty cool. Also, his belt tension is very Ryuki-esque. You know, it just
Hey, I
slots in
love
from the
it.
side. Yeah, I like it too.
So I'm
So like,
thinking,
sorry.
based off what's his name? Horobi. Yeah, he said that they have to use them becoming self-conscious. So I think the monsters of the weeks have to be self-conscious, like this one was.
Like this one
Like they
was
can
getting
make plenty of
pleasure out
jokes and
of making people happy, like seeing people laugh. He was actually that was making him happy. So he was obtaining like a certain amount of self-awareness.
yeah. So it's kind of a sad thing because basically all
The
the monsters that are to us to kill are gonna be,
are the ones that are the more human ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
like his dad.
So build or drive all over again, I guess. God, that's off.
Uh,
Yeah, it's sad because like it seems to be implying like no, once they get corrupted and turn to their monster form, that's it. They can't go back. They have to be put down.
no one ever said that. It was just the easiest way to put them down.
Yeah.
You're right that the Zero-One gear was designed to specifically take them out, so it's possible that they can't be saved, but no one ever said they couldn't be saved. It's probably just easier to put them down.
Yeah.
Though I'm just speculating, like it could be that they're just unsavable.
I'm also wondering like where Hirobi and Jin got these partially broken Progrise keys from. They clearly have a connection to Hedon Intelligence and the past presidents, so
You
And at
remember
the
seeing
end, it
that
seems like-
satellite?
well, duh, yes. Also, like at the end, Hirobi just puts the Progrise key back in the or whatever, so they presumably, even if the monster is defeated, could just fix up the corrupted Progrise key and we're good to go.
Like I said, like this kind of revolt probably happened once before. I think that the satellite that we saw that was crashed was like the original AI satellite. They probably ended the whole revolt by taking it down, like causing it to crash, so that all the AI would shut down, and then they started over. So the like all the technology that Hirobi and Jin have probably came from that era that was left behind and abandoned.
Like
I cannot wait to hear more backstory.
I have a theory on it. It goes one of two ways. Either they got the technology straight up from the satellite, and or hacked the satellite to get the information on how to build this. Or there was a Drive-esque situation where this shit happened before. Everybody went either Terminator or iRobot, take your pick, and decided, and he had a system in place to combat it, but it was ineffective. That proto Rider got destroyed, so he dropped the satellite to take it all out.
Oh, you know what? What if dropping the satellite was that explosion we see in the flashback?
That would be a good guess.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I'm guessing
cool.
that.
That would be actually pretty interesting. I mean, it could be that these guys are like, well, they're clearly not fucking humans because like the secondary writer might be one of the humans who lived there or whatever, or somebody he knew lived there. But these, I mean, like they could be like the last remnants of the AI that originally rebelled, and that's why they hate humanity for trying to like basically kill them all to try to stop them.
What I'm liking about this show is that it's not trying to be secretive like X8 or Build was, where it's like, ooh, guess what's behind this curtain? It's like, nah, here are the hints, make your guesses, and we'll see what you got later.
Like and this leads to one of two, like one of three things. Either the end of reveal is going to be amazing and fill the plot holes necessarily enough, or we're going to have a series long thing, but that will slowly get revealed as it goes, and it's still kind of amazing to see that progress. Or we're gonna have another fucking Atatsuki Go situation where by the time you finally get the reveal, it's like
No one cares at this point, and
this?
this was irrelevant.
I was somewhat relevant because it's like, oh, this explains the
This is when
politics,
he
but it's
first,
like,
yeah.
but like it's nothing important that needed to be hit. I was gonna say there's another possibility. Is like this is just the shit for the first arc, and that's why it's like, all right, here's some hints, but there's gonna be way more plot, like because that's the thing, like, X8 kind of goes like, all right, here's one arc, shit happened, there's more shit to go on, so like hopefully like that's X8's problem was like it by the end it was a little stressed out, so like if the writer just fixes that, where it's like, all right, if he just writes tighter arcs which link together and keep going, it'll be fine.
Like, when Vashi was watching all these Rider shows I already seen, I would like to give him, like, teasing hints about things to come, like, oh, get ready for this, get ready for this. But when it came to the Akatsuki, I just straight up told him, like, when you finally find out, it's not worth it. And Vashi?
Yeah.
It was not fucking worth it.
Yeah.
Literally, the only thing that made it worth it was you get that, oh, okay, so Mr. Satan or, you know,
Well, he's God.
God's bitch.
You know, the man in
God's
black.
God's rival.
that was God. Yeah, that was either.
Oh, you're talking about the first summon. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the first summon which was either the devil or God's bitch, whichever one you want to refer to him as.
I like calling him rival,
Whatever.
because God's rival sounds really cool.
No. He's talking about the Aqua.
Oh! Oh, that one. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unnecessary. But beyond that of seeing, okay, here's physically how he got his powers, unfucking necessary.
I mean, like, I was thinking it's more important to Hikawa's character, where it's like, oh, this is the thing that the cops are coming up, and therefore, like, Hojo has this major issue because he thinks, like, Hikawa's getting, like, all these freebies, because he's, like, a lower-ranking cop, like, why is he getting all this, like, attention, even though I worked my whole career to get here, right?
It's because Hikawa was in the right place at the wrong time.
At the right time, which pisses off him. And so the thing is, like, yeah, it's important to both, like, Hikawa and Suichi. But the thing is, like, it's not so important to be, like, this insane secret. Like, it's not a FIS level secret that you need to reveal, like, 2/3 of the way through the show. You know? Like, when that happens in FIS, like, shit changes. Like, when this happens in Agito, nothing changes.
It could have literally happened in episode 1 and it wouldn't have made a damn bit of difference.
It would have been really good a lot sooner.
I say, like, at least 1/3 of the way through the show would have been fine. Any later than that, it's just pointless.
So, let's move on to Zero-One himself, our debut henshin for the new rider. Grasshopper themed. The new suit actor, as Drago put it, is a lot more agile rather than he is brute force. And the way that, like, his style of fighting works, like, he incorporates a lot of kicks into his fighting when he's not wielding a sword. By the way, I like that he has no idea what he's doing, and so when Izu throws the sword at him, it fucking hits him in the head first.
That gave me the biggest laugh of the episode.
Like, to me, this is the best thing I like about this rider. Like, and I mentioned it to Rai a little bit. It's like, this is the first main rider, and I'm gonna clarify, main rider, that read the fucking manual.
Oh god, so true.
Yes, I'm sure other writers are like, you got a manual, I had to start out with nothing.
Like, yeah, yes.
Well, this is extra funny to the ones that don't. Okay, yeah, main rider is important because I'm like, but But yeah, main rider. I also love how this is like a Fies thing, except like nobody reads the fucking manual in Fies. I mean,
Right?
like
Everybody
Kaiser
seems
did.
to know what the fuck to do.
Okay, Kaiser did, but like
Ka-
Kaiser's insane.
Kaizo like just copied what Takumi did.
I know, but he read his manual later. I feel like that's what he did. Um, because that's the type of asshole he is. That he's like, oh, if this gives me 1 ounce of advantage against Takumi, I'm gonna read this.
Like we all know Inoue didn't, because literally the instructions for how to summon that fucking vehicle he got for one episode before
Oh
it got blown
god,
up
yeah, it's in the
was
thing,
on
right?
the fucking phone.
Yeah, it's true.
It was on
It's
his
so-
screen of how to summon it, and he just never did.
Oh god.
Then
To
Delta
be
summoned
fair,
his, and he went, "Oh wait, yeah, I could do that."
right, I fucking love that. It's like it's hidden right there. It's on the screen. Like, oh fuck it, who cares? I kind of love that about Takumi. He just does whatever the fuck he wants. Like he cares not 1 ounce about his equipment.
But like,
Right? It's
this
like,
is
oh, laser sword, whatever. Bike, get in front of me and shield me from these bullets, or get out of my fucking way.
Bike, go shoot!
Right.
Go fire bullet! No, not at me! Smacks his robot and just fucking abuses it.
like this
Oh, man.
this is the most unpolished writer that we've had at the start of a show. To me, the closest we've come to it was Edgy.
I was gonna say like Takeru from Ghost, because like he literally runs away, and then like Yurisen's like, "Here's how you do the thing, idiot. Do this," like
Right, it's like,
constantly
but
shouting at him.
I
The
feel
first
that was
episode.
more in line just with his character wanting to run away from it, and that go nope,
Yeah.
nope.
And
Before
with
finally
W,
accepting
they
it.
first tension while they are actively like getting shot at.
Right, like, granted, his makes sense that he knew how to, at least how to do his end, because he watched his boss do it.
Okay.
But like Edgy is literally shown how to henshin by Ankh. Ankh tells Ankh talks him through it,
right.
and then all
Yeah.
of his gear he's instructed how to use.
Okay.
From
Yeah,
except,
Eddie's
except for
freaking
the
great for how shitty he is. As a
except for
writer.
this the only thing that he really doesn't get shown how to use is
Is the
his
purple medals, right?
the purple axe and the whatchamacallit, the Giga scanner for Tajador.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
he's shown how to use the vending machine to get the bikes. He's shown how to use the
Oh, dude, the vending
cans.
machines are
Vending
so good because
machine,
the
that
Switch.
eternally lovely screenshot of him sitting on top of a vending
I
machine.
know.
That is-
Damn,
I love how-
chose.
that's still my favorite scene from O's. When
Oh my god,
Cake
it's so.
Boss
Oh,
locks
not
out
the
the fucking
computer
bike.
one.
no from
For the
O's.
computer gif, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's so good.
But like this has been the most unpolished writer to the point where he cannot stick his rider landing.
I love
he can't
it.
he can't stick his finishing pose, and I love it.
Dude fucking twisted his ankle on
What
that
about
landing.
laser?
Then plows into a wall. And then he's like, it's over, collapse.
Like Laser, I can kind of give a pass to that. Everything he
Dude,
did was fucking
Laser
intentional.
did not stick multiple landings. To one point, that became his running gag.
Which
In
I
movies
think
where it's. Yeah.
like it's to the point where with Lasers, like I feel that was just intentional on his character. Like
Yeah, fair enough.
like he wasn't doing it. Because to be fair, Kiryu wasn't doing it to be cool or pose or anything like that. He was there to kick ass and leave,
Which he did a lot.
which he did. Granted, he usually landed on his ass a few times, but he still.
I still
business on
love the Dragon Knight Hunter Z scene where they're all teaming up against Graphite and Emu goes to breathe fire and Laser turns around and it's happening right behind him and he drops to the ground but his foot's still in the air and it catches.
I know, man. Like, Laser. See, here's the thing, like. It doesn't quite match Kiryu's character because it's like, that's a little careless and comedic, but I'm like, fuck it. If it's not, like, super fun.
But I mean, you can
Um,
also chalk it up to the fact that X8 is video game based, and especially the Dragon Knight Hunter Z portion would be this is what happens when you play with other people. Someone's not going to be paying attention and they're going to be in the path of an attack.
Well, especially because it's based off Monster Hunter, and the thing is, Monster Hunter is like
You get in each other's
you
way
can
a
do
lot.
Yeah, you do team up hunts, but your teammates can damage you as well. So you have to be super careful.
You like straight up trip each other so that they are in the middle of an attack and nope, not anymore.
Or those things where, like, one character gets stuck in another character's hitbox and one of those characters is an NPC, so the person on the chat is like, get out of the way! That's pretty funny.
But, like, and since we were talking about the briefcase scene, I do like the fact that he's also kind of a smart ass, too. Because he picks it up, starts kicking everybody else, then pops out this and goes, haha, it's a sword, too!
That was pretty good.
It just starts fucking shit up with that.
Yeah, I also loved when he gets hit and he's like, "Oh, this hurts," and then like she starts apologizing and he's like, "No, it's fine. Carry on."
Dude,
Like, oh, that was a nice touch.
I love his rider kick. Rising impact. Sorry, let me clarify. Rising impact!
Yeah.
It was so pretty, and oh my god, that whole scene with him going through the robot and then showing it one by one character, awesome.
A leap to the
Again,
sky
just
leads
the
to a
cherry
rider
on top.
kick.
Yes.
Right. When I was seeing that, I'm like, oh, they're using a lot of lightning, a lot of flash stuff happening. That's interesting. But also his rider kick's very like, this is what Blade's rider kick would be if we weren't trying to keep it traditional Blade rider kick. Right? It's just like a super fast lightning and super speed kick, so this is literally Blade's rider kick. Just updated, so that's cool. Thoughts on this? Also, it looked fucking amazing. Decade.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point about the blade kick. But yeah, the belt is pretty. It looks pretty good. The standby jingle is pretty good. The henshin's fun.
I love the standby jingle.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's way better than like the build jingle and the XA jingle. Maybe I don't remember what that is. And the Zio jingle. I love it.
Yeah.
Let's game, Mitch game, Moocha game. What's your name? I'm a Kamen Rider.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's okay,
XA
but it gets
freaking
annoying
great.
after like a bunch of repeats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the only
especially
thing
'cause
that
they have it with every rider.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like is how, like, the belt does not give one fuck about, oh, there's a rider henching happening. It just gives you, like, the most boring explanation possible. I get it. Maybe they're trying to go with, like, oh, this is a robotic monotone voice, but I'm like, why?
I think it's very
Why? It,
appropriate.
like, drains the energy out of this.
I actually
Like,
think it's very fitting, and I like it.
It's so cool that it's all English.
Like with the like robotic theme going on, I like that it's a monotone voice giving an explanation of how fucked you are right now.
Yes. Also, I
really-
like that it's an online available for free voice, so people can make whatever ridiculous kind of slogan they want for the belt.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
To me, like the whole, a jump to the sky turns into a rider kick. That to me, the best thing about that is like Bryce says, like this is how fucked you are. Pay attention to when I jump because you're fucked.
This is important. It will come up later.
This will be on the test. If I jump, you're dead.
I'm interested
X
in
or
the
O.
slogan.
When I jump, this fight is over.
Oh,
and then he jumps through a bus.
yes.
Oh, dude, the bus. Whoever put in that, like, next stop when he hits it, and then, like, he jumps through it, and then, oh my god. That was fucking genius. Give all the points to whoever thought of putting that in. Anyway, Decade, you've been trying to say stuff. I keep cutting you off.
Oh, I was just saying, I wonder what other slogans we're gonna get for
Oh,
different power-ups. That should be fun.
Flying Falcon, I think, is spread your wings and prepare for a force.
uh,
Yeah, we got some pretty silly best match names. But yeah, I also wonder if anyone's gonna get pissed off at that giant robotic grasshopper demolishing the ground around it.
Dude, yeah, right? I was like, if this thing's doing more damage than the bad guys at this point.
Like,
Like, luckily it doesn't hit any.
when I first saw it, my immediate thought went Shinobi and, you know, that type of thing. Is like, oh, well, it's just something physically here just to create the armor. And it's like, because my brain went, hey, the satellite made this artificial hologram image. And I'm like, it's breaking shit. What the fuck?
Right. I was
And
like,
I know what I want one writer's henshin phrase to say when they transform. Because it'll fit with the theory.
What?
A swing turns into a rider punch.
Okay.
okay, that's gonna
Thinking when I saw the collateral damage, I'm like, I wonder if Hidden Intelligence is going to try as hard as possible to not to deny that they're connected to this new Zero-One guy so they can avoid having to pay compensation money and property
Oh,
damage
man.
stuff.
Dude, if
Well-
that comes up and it's like you can't be president anymore, you're wrecking too much shit,
Like,
that's gonna be amazing.
I don't think that's going to be entirely possible with the fact that A, he's already the new president. Granted, it's not been announced yet. But there's already somebody who knows that he's the one who did this and
Yes.
was witness
And-
to everything that just happened.
yeah, like I love like the like really bad wink he tries giving him. Like he clearly doesn't know how this works.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's his damage eye, but like, damn, that was freaking great. When I was thinking that, I'm like, oh, is this gonna be like your coffee shop or whatever, like your hangout place? 'Cause I'm like, Toei is not spending the money on a fucking goddamn building. I'm like, are you gonna hang out in an amusement park? I'm like, that's gonna be interesting.
I do like the way he like spreads them like a mysterious golden hero saved this place.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good. Dude, that suit glows in the dark.
I
That's
love
just-
the black light thing.
Oh.
It's so nice.
So, real quick, speaking on what he says, I'd mentioned this to Henshin and my girl when I watched it. I watched two versions of this. At least I watched two versions of this scene of the Golden Hero. And it was two different translations, and they both are supposed to come across the same way that this one did. Because the first time I read it, I didn't think about it, and it confused the hell out of me. Because I legitimately thought that somebody just could not see color properly.
Oh.
It was instead of Golden Hero, it said Yellow Hero.
Oh,
And my
that
brain
was
went,
a translation mistake.
That is bad. Oh yeah, now that I
it's-
think about it, yeah, that's bad.
It's not. It was intended the same way as this one. Not so much the fact that they were calling the color of it yellow. It's just they mistranslated golden to yellow. But because this is a phrase that's hard to translate, and it depends on what you're thinking. It wasn't meant as color, obviously, because it's Golden Hero. It's meant in the same way that you would call Superman a golden hero. It's meant
right,
to be
that's what I was thinking.
like an amazing hero. Is
right.
what it,
That's just a bad line.
it was, and because the first time I saw it, I'm like, yeah, it looks.
Yeah, I'm like, he's
yellow.
like green, right? Like lime green.
Right, he's
oh,
not
not lime
he's
green.
like neon green.
Right.
But when you see it in the episode, outside of that little scene where it glows in the dark, and that's fucking awesome, it does have, compared to the scans, it does have a muted look to it, which could confuse somebody who really doesn't understand color really well to go, that's neon yellow. I know this because I have shirts that are neon green that people keep telling me are neon yellow.
I mean,
And it's that same kind of
color
muted,
blindness, but yeah.
but it's that same kind of muted color that he has versus the scans. Because, like I said, in the scans, it was like super green. Same thing with the commercials, was super green. But here it's really muted, so it's like I could get how they would screw up that translation based off him looking, if the whoever was translating at that point saw the more yellow color in him than green.
Yeah,
But
so
yes,
this is
it
one of
should
those
be.
issues. I'm like, I wonder if like originally in production they were gonna go with like gold, like Agito style or something. And so that's what the writer wrote, and they're like, well, maybe he means the color, or maybe he means like Superman stuff. And then like maybe they changed it, so like it could go either way. But I'm like, why not just change the fucking line at that point? Right? Like I know this is more of a translation mistake, but I'm like, still, even in Japanese, this must be a weird ass line. Like, just change it.
All right. And after all is said and done, Aruto realizes that he can achieve his dream of making people smile by being a hero that protects them. So he accepts the position as president because only the president is authorized to use Zero-One. He is given a president smartphone and he makes a joke about it, and Izu explains the joke as they drive away in a limo.
That was a good ending. My version of the joke probably wasn't the best. I'll have to find another version of the joke, but
what was your version? What did it say for you?
do I remember, like, good thing I have a card for business, or something like that.
Okay, the TV Neon one was, behold the scene where my name appears on the screen.
Okay.
Oh, I get it. He's talking about like as if it's a movie. Um, right, which what they explain to later on, but it's like, God damn it, it's Japanese. Like, I get it. Like, Asian
don't.
cultures tend to do this. No, like, it's this very like stupid punny style of humor that like a lot of Asian cultures do. Like, I don't speak Japanese that well. Like, I'm fucking terrible at it. Like, I speak a different language which tends to use humor like this, and we have like the same shitty variety type shows that like Japanese shows do. So like I get this dumbass humor, except like most of the people speak English too, so you throw in like a billion bilingual jokes, which is even worse. So like crap humor is just like funny, quote unquote. So like you're gonna see a lot of it. That's why like when they're doing the stage shows, like those jokes are fucking trash. But that's kind of the level of trash that like most variety shows run on. So it's
Didn't
absolute
even get
garbage.
the thing about the ruler.
Yeah. Whatever. I think it's more like, hey, I lost all my rulers, and then somebody's like, hey, you want a ruler? So it's like, oh, this person stole it. I think that's what that joke was, but it's like, it's really stupid.
Maybe.
Humor.
Yeah,
Or
his humor is-
it could be like, why would you trust me with your ruler when I lost all mine?
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, his sense of
I mean-
humor is right up there with Ui's.
What?
Ui from Ryu Soldier, the girl with her YouTube channel.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
this
remember
character,
like
so-
some of her jokes at the start of the show being translated fairly well.
Oh.
Yeah, like we talked about this whole episode, we forgot like two characters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We
the
need to get to our
the
other
second
two
and
riders.
third riders. So their names are Isamu Fuwa, and Yua Yaiba. They are part of AIMS, which is
Artificial Intelligence Military Service.
Thank you.
Oh, that's the
So
cool last
when
actor,
the
honestly.
Humagears start rampaging, because like only the one gets infected, but then he infects the rest of them, not to the same degree, but like still causes them to rampage. Like they just come in like a Zect like team, like and just start shooting
Yeah,
them
that's
all.
what I was thinking. I was thinking like, oh, this is very much Zek, and then like the second in command kind of just goes like, kill them all. I'm like, oh fuck, this just turned into like Amazon's
That
season
guy,
two.
like Fuwa, just straight up
Intense.
does not listen to Yaiba at all. Like
And
Right.
she's trying to
this
like
is superior.
she's trying to like call the shots and give orders, and he is just literally being a renegade.
Like there's a point where he saves her life while being a complete dick about it.
Yes.
Right. I'm like,
Like
if that monster wasn't there, like, dude, did you like threaten your superior or like try to shoot
like
them?
no, ignore the fact that he made a split moment decision that saved her life. Yes, yeah, maybe he had no time to warn her. He didn't apologize at all for almost shooting her. He showed no
Yeah.
concern for what just happened to her.
Like he literally did it and then just walked
And then
away.
he shoves her out of the way too, like move.
Eh,
That guy's our secondary rider, Kamen Rider Vulcan.
Well, he's a fucking prick.
yeah.
But the thing is, like, he has the like henshin gun. I'm like, oh, this explains why like Valkyrie and the secondary use the same henshin thing. Is they're probably just gonna have the same gun,
I think they
but
have
they
two,
have their own like
actually.
henshin.
The trailers show them each having one. But maybe they only
And it
brought
looked
one along.
and with the
Um,
going off like the shape of the container that it was in the truck, it does look like there's another one beside it, like
Okay.
a little bit further into the truck. Like you don't see the gun in it, but you kind of see it,
Okay.
the outline of the shape of that. the container.
so they do share it. When Vulcan uses it, it is in gun mode. When Valkyrie uses it, it is belt mode.
Got it.
Ah,
Vulcan
That's
is
interesting.
going to be his morph is going to be a wolf, and Vulcan will be a cheetah. So you've got like the canine
Valkyrie will be
feline
a
thing
cheetah,
going
yeah.
on.
Because
Oh,
there are
that's-
shots in the
that's-
trailer where they're both fighting transformed. I'm like, how do they do that if there's one gun? But I guess
It might be like
find
Maybe-
out.
it might be the same model
They might
that just
build it
gets
later.
used differently.
Okay, we'll see.
I mean, it could be that they just
Yeah.
give them a second one somewhere later down the line.
Or again, it could
Um,
just be like the same model that they just have their own copies of.
Yeah, that could work.
the one thing I wanted to point out is when the monster of the week creates, for I'm just gonna call them the grunts.
Yeah.
Hmm?
There's a split second where I'm disappointed in the fact that they continued with the changing process of the grunts, and that's when they first start taking over. Like the for lack of a better term, their skull appears. I wish it
Oh,
had
right,
stopped.
when they deactivate like the human-looking form.
Yes, I wish it would have stopped there with the rest of the form instead of putting the mask over it. Because my
Yeah,
God,
I think-
look that for that split second, I'm like, that's disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks intense, but I think the reason why they probably didn't do that is because it looks too much like the Roimiuds. So if we summon like a giant bunch of these assholes and the Roimiuds, they're just gonna look way too similar. But again, yeah, I agree. I mean, like the mask isn't bad, but yeah, you're right. Like, why even give them the cooler looking form if you're just gonna cover it up?
Okay. So the villains. Metsubo Jinrai means Thunderclap of Destruction. The monsters are called Magia, or maybe Magia, I'm not sure.
I got Magir and Magia, but I might do Magia just because I'm like, oh, that sounds like that song from Madoka Magica.
And I have no idea what the grunts are called.
I mean, it's gonna be interesting, honestly. Because first I'm like, oh, they need the belt so they can't infect a lot of people, but then they actually had grunts too. I'm like, okay, this explains why they're more of a threat, right? Because normally, like, well, there's three riders, and they can only make one monster with one belt. Like, where's the threat, right? Like, literally have like they could literally work 8-hour shifts. They're
Okay.
like, oh, next guy and next guy, like 24 hours, the city is protected.
It,
Right, but when you can have like one monster make more monsters, like, oh no, that's a problem.
it's Magia, but Magir would also work. Alright. Anything else you guys want to talk about with this episode?
I
I
mean,
think
like
we
the only
covered
thing I'm
most of it.
surprised.
We
Yeah,
got an insert song and the opening.
Yes. Insert song
So
straight
heck
up
yeah.
that everyone was disappointed because they thought it was the opening. The opening is still good. I can't
Yeah.
wait to see the version with visuals in 3 or 4 days. That insert song, straight off the bat, it's awesome. I want the full version now.
right. The only thing I was like, holy shit, real guns or real-ish.
The
Yes, in
opening
Rise.
theme is called Real Eyes. Real
Huh.
Eyes and Realize.
Yeah, I mean, is belts running around with his. Well, well, it makes sense because the whole reason they named the damn era realize, like realizing potential to be better, based, right? So makes sense with what the sentiment of the era is supposed to be.
Alright. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. This is the start of a new era for Ryder. We'll be back tomorrow with some more Power Rangers Beast Morphers, Tuesday for more Ryu Soldier, and next Wednesday for more Kamen Rider Zero-One. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for
Bye.
listening.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. Catching you next time.
Thank you all for joining us for the start of the Reiwa era.